Apple has officially announced the iPhone 12 and it looks to be super awesome. Wait, actually, they didn't talk about it at all. We just happen to know literally everything. Typically, Apple is super secretive and leaks do not happen very often. And if anything, it's just slight clues like there is an iPhone coming in a month, there is this coming. But this time we got all the specs of the iPhone 12, so let's go over it. The first big thing is that it's pretty much the same design. It's gonna look exactly like the iPhone 11, except you're gonna have one that's gonna have a bigger screen size. And it's gonna be that XDR display, and all of them are gonna have the same great display, which is an upgrade of what it's been in the past. They're all also gonna have their new A14 processor, which is supposed to be the best so far. We have heard rumors about their A14X processor that's gonna be even faster, might end up in their future computers, but for now, the A14 is going to be in there, and it should be able to power some of these tasks we're going to talk about. The main thing with smartphones these days is the camera and the battery life. I mean, what else are you really worried about? I guess you're worried about screen refresh rate if you really know what you're dealing with there, and we'll talk about that in a second as well. The iPad Pro added a LiDAR sensor, and that allowed Apple to add some more AR features there, but it looks like they're going to add that to the iPhone 12, and it's going to work in tandem with the cameras to add some even better portrait mode effects, essentially, allowing you to have shallower depths of field if you want it, and all sorts of great stuff. So instead of going for a bigger sensor size like other companies have done, looks like they're going to stick with the same smaller sensor but use it with the LiDAR sensor. And according to these leaks, it's going to assist with autofocus and assist with subject detection. One cool thing is that it should have an enhanced night mode that allows for even longer exposure if you're on a tripod, because right now night mode is pretty restricted to I think about 3 seconds, because it's restricted to how steady you can hold it. But if you have a really dark subject, you could have that open for 10 seconds or so. It's just most people can't hold their phone steady enough to actually get that photo, so they're going to add that mode with a tripod. Why this really only needs to be in the iPhone 12, I'm not entirely sure. It seems like something that could just be upgraded over software, but we'll see when they announce it. And then this is something I'm very excited about. It's rumored that they're going to have Slo-Mo up to 4K at 120 frames per second, and Slo-Mo up to 4K at 240 frames per second, which is incredible. I mean, even this camera I'm using can't even do that, and camera I want to buy can't do 240, it can only do up to 120. And then the thing that all the nerds know about, a 120 hertz display. It's going to have the option to go between 60 and 120 hertz, as well as an option to just have like a smart version of that, where it's automatically switching between them depending on what app you're using. This is something people have wanted forever on the iPhone, and then it was rumored it wasn't going to come on the iPhone 12, and now it looks like it definitely is, according to a bunch of leaks. And it seems to be on both the iPhone 12 Pro and the normal iPhone 12. It looks like they're really trying to make the baseline iPhone 12 really solid. For Face ID, even though half of the time when you're wearing a mask, Face ID is essentially useless at this point, it's going to be faster and it's going to have an even wider field of view so that you don't have to sit there with your phone like this and get your face in order for it to open when it's on a desk or whatever. And now let's get into some specifics for each one of them. Apparently just the normal iPhone 12 is going to have a 64 gigabyte, 128 gigabyte, and 256 gigabyte option. It will have 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is something Apple usually doesn't even mention. And then it's going to have single optical image stabilization. For the iPhone 12 Pro, that is supposed to be 64 gigabytes, and then 256 gigabytes and 512 gigabytes. It'll have 6 gigabytes of RAM as opposed to the 4 gigabytes on the normal iPhone 12, which is really the main boost you're actually going to have with speeds and stuff because the processors are exactly the same. And then it will have dual optical image stabilization as well. Now last year with the iPhone 11, there was the iPhone 11, the iPhone 11 Pro, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Looks like they're going to add a fourth one this year for people who don't want the Pro but they want a bigger display. So they're going to have the iPhone 12, the iPhone 12 Max, the iPhone 12 Pro, and the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Oh my gosh. Now, I guess no company really has a great naming system at this point, but it just seems like it's getting kind of out of control. And there are supposed to be 4 colors, space gray that we're used to, a silver, a gold, and then the new one, which is navy blue. And that's kind of what I always go for. If I'm going to get this new phone, I'm going to get the color that they haven't had before. So for me, I have the iPhone 11 Pro Max in midnight green. And if I'm going to get the iPhone 12 Pro Max, I'm going to get it in navy blue. And now the big thing that some people think is ridiculous and others don't, the 20-watt charger, the fast charger, it's apparently officially confirmed that Apple will not be including that in the box. Now this could be Apple just skimping out and it's already an expensive phone, why shouldn't it come with this charger? Or it could be them actually reducing cost a little bit so that they can offer it at a lower price point, but I can't imagine it's really lowering it that much. And then on top of that, it's supposed to not include headphones, which I guess is just another ploy to make you actually buy some AirPods, but most people I guess have headphones that they like. You don't see many people going around with the actual corded iPhone headphones anymore. So in the box, you're just gonna have the iPhone and then the cable, which hopefully is gonna be Lightning to USB-C in all of them because we all probably have enough cables. I know I have plenty of Lightning to USB-A, but I don't have as many Lightning to USB-C, so I'd love to see that be standard with these. And charging bricks, everyone has a bunch of. If you're into tech at all or you've had any phones previously, your phone came with one and you probably traded it in or sold it and didn't sell it with the charging brick. So you probably have plenty of those, and if you want a fast charging brick, you know, you don't really want to buy the Apple one. If it came with it, great, but you don't want to buy the Apple one. I mean, it's going to be like $49 or $69, and then on Amazon you can just get a cheaper one that does just as good of a job, just as fast, for way cheaper. The iPhone 12 is going to have 5G support, which is big. For those networks that actually have 5G, still kind of unclear about which networks are really doing 5G, like it's true 5G speeds, and which networks are just calling it 5G and it's really just a fast 4G. But it is a different technology that Apple has to incorporate, so it looks like they're going to be adding that here. And then of course, as much as we'd love to see no notch or maybe just a dot for where the camera is to get the most screen ratio as possible, there's still going to be a notch there. Some people have said it looks slightly smaller, slightly thinner, but it's not going to make a difference. You're not going to notice a difference between the 11 and the 12. It's still a notch. It's still there. If you hate it, you're going to hate it still. And then for the camera system, since they are adding that LiDAR, it looks like it's going to be pretty much the same, that actual bump on the back for the 3 lenses. Because they're going to be adding LiDAR though, it's going to be adding about 10% of volume. So that's the iPhone 12, and I don't really know what more Apple's going to have to announce at their event. Of course, they're going to do it in some fancy way and have some amazing graphic to show you how much better 120 Hz is than 60 Hz and how they have waited to make it the perfect technology. But I mean, this seems to be one of the biggest leaks I've seen from Apple in a long time. And don't get me wrong, I love Apple. I have all Apple devices. I have it all, but I love to give them a little bit of crap about this stuff because sometimes it's just like, we get it. You're just going to put a new camera in there. You're just going to make it a little bit better. I'm going to buy it anyway, but just get on with it. But what are you most excited for with the iPhone 12? Do you care at all? Would you get the baseline iPhone 12? Would you just completely skip this generation? Or do you really need that 120 Hz refresh rate? Have you been waiting this whole time for that? And finally, Apple has done it. But after this one, I mean, they're just always going to need to make them faster. They're always going to improve the cameras. Maybe the bump is going to get even crazier for the cameras because at a certain point you can't make a great camera sensor fit into such a thin product. So maybe we'll see a bigger camera bump in the future with better cameras. Maybe we'll see 8K come to an iPhone, and maybe we'll see even faster than 120 Hz. I don't even know what they can add in the future. It seems like we've kind of reached peak smartphone, and with the iPhone 12 we're going to reach peak smartphone. But of course, they're still holding some stuff back. Maybe they're holding back the notch on us. Maybe the iPhone 13 or the iPhone 12 Pro or Pro S or iPhone 12s, Pro Max Plus, maybe that one is going to get rid of the notch and that's going to be the big selling point. I don't know, it'll be very interesting to see, but I did just realize I didn't talk about pricing, which has also been leaked for these phones. I mean, obviously none of this is 100% confirmed by Apple, but it seems to all be pretty accurate. So I guess with the iPhone 12, I'm going to have an even bigger screen, and then I'll have a LiDAR sensor. That'll basically be it, and I'll love it. Because I think most of us realize that we could just hang on to this same phone for a few years, but it's Apple, so we just watch their presentation and they convince us with one feature, and then it ends up not being that amazing, but we bought it anyway, we love it, and then we get the next one as well. An example of that would be when they announced the iPhone 11 Pro and the Pro Max. They had Filmic Pro up there on stage talking about their Double Take app, which would allow you to record with 2 different lenses simultaneously. I was blown away by this and was like, oh my gosh, I could film with a zoomed in lens and then with a far away lens, both at the same time. It would revolutionize my YouTube videos. And then the app came out like 6 months after the release of the phone, and it only did HD, which is something they didn't talk about at the event, and then it's kind of like, oh, I wanted it to be 4K. Okay, maybe on the iPhone 12 Pro with the A14 chip, I guess? I don't know. Anyway, those are my thoughts and pretty much all the specs that we've heard from the iPhone 12. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to like this video if you appreciated it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.